I'm Scott Jennings, and here's my latest comment. And here's a quote to start. Mitch McConnell is the most overrated man in politics. That came from a Florida man who sits with nothing much to do in his golf club but watch TV, after once again winning fewer votes than his Democratic opponent. Meanwhile, McConnell, the Senate Republican leader since 2007, goes to work each day in the U.S. Capitol after cruising to a seventh term by 20 points, despite Democratic donors pouring over $100 million into the hapless campaign against him. Former President Donald Trump's latest kvetching about McConnell followed the most successful politician in Kentucky history voting for a hard infrastructure package that represents a generational investment in his home state, angering Trump, who had lobbied hard against it. If you're trying to decide whose political judgment to trust, remember, McConnell is 9 for 9 in winning more votes than a Democratic opponent. Trump is 0 for 2. Plus, McConnell and the Republicans who actually won their elections had to take up slack for the self-proclaimed builder president who overpromised and underdelivered on infrastructure. Republicans had long said they supported the concept of an infrastructure plan. It was time to put up or shut up. Like his idol, the legendary Henry Clay, McConnell strongly believes in the federal government's responsibility for what Clay called internal improvements. I spoke to McConnell the other day, and he told me that although Clay never defeated Andrew Jackson in a political contest, he won their argument over internal improvements, and it's been part of the federal government's responsibilities ever since. That's McConnell explaining to me why he's leaning in on infrastructure. The bill has yet to become law as Democratic leaders are still wrestling with their various flanks in the U.S. House, where Speaker Nancy Pelosi is expected to sit on the bill for months. If Pelosi can get her ducks in a huddle, no sure bet, McConnell will once again have delivered substantially for his constituents, carting home more than $5 billion over 5 years, including $438 million for the rehabilitation, repair, and replacement of the state's bridges, among the worst in the country, and a minimum of $100 million for broadband deployment. But beyond servicing the needs of his home state, McConnell scored 2 larger political achievements in supporting the infrastructure bill, with deep implications for the Senate as an institution and for the Republican Party's future. First, McConnell showed that the Senate, with its quirky rules and traditions, works just fine, obliterating arguments made by the "democracy is on fire" crowd, demanding an end to the chamber's filibuster rules. Claiming for months that McConnell is an unrepentant obstructionist who would never allow anything to pass under a Biden presidency, many Democrats dreamed of tossing out long-standing rules that force most legislation to garner 60 votes for passage. But the infrastructure bill, which scored 69 votes in a 50-50 Senate, proved that bipartisanship is possible when the underlying legislation isn't total garbage. McConnell and the 18 other Republicans who supported the deal showed that good faith negotiations can produce wide bipartisan support for big ideas. And just as importantly, that bad ideas, such as the Democratic plot to federalize the American electoral system for purely partisan advantage, will go nowhere in the Senate. Second, McConnell proved the Republican Party can discern between good ideas and bad, capable of exhibiting sound policy judgment and acting accordingly. It's exactly what you should expect from a reasonable party, worthy of governing responsibility, which the Republicans will be asking for again in 2022 and 2024. Immediately after supporting the hard infrastructure spending bill, McConnell slammed the brakes on President Biden's hyperpartisan and highly irresponsible $3.5 trillion budget reconciliation plan. If Democrats plan to raise taxes, exacerbate the inflation crisis, and further spike the national debt, they'll have to do it without McConnell's or any Republicans' help. And here's a newsflash. Democrats shouldn't hold their breath waiting for McConnell to cave on raising the national debt ceiling to finance their massive overreach. He's simply not going to do it. McConnell says there's going to be a hell of a fight over what this country ought to look like in the future, and it's going to unfold in the next few weeks. McConnell is going to war over tax increases and this completely irresponsible spending plan. Already influential Democrats like Arizona's Kyrsten Sinema and West Virginia's Joe Manchin, both moderates, have signaled discomfort with giving Bernie Sanders another $3.5 trillion financed by tax increases on a great many Americans. Would they be so strident in their public comments and opposition had the infrastructure bill failed along party lines? Doubtful. By supporting a bipartisan process and voting yes, McConnell took away what would have been their easiest excuse for going along with a much larger spending plan that is clearly too extreme. McConnell's latest moves present a clear strategic blueprint. He voted for policies that he believes will benefit Kentucky and the country, and against proposals that wouldn't, setting up clear electoral battle lines while further exacerbating internal Democratic Party tensions by separating the sugar, infrastructure, from the spinach, tax increases. And his moves represent his stalwart belief in the traditions and institutional integrity of the Senate, where the rules ensuring fairness and bipartisanship are more important than ever. I'm Scott Jennings. Thanks for listening. You can see more commentary on Twitter @ScottJenningsKY.